was 2-love down in the opening set. She roared to victory at Queen's Club, her first win at these championships for the loss of just 5 games. It's Eala who moves through to a second round meeting with her friend Iva Jovic. First win on grass since Eastbourne last summer. Her grass court swing off and running.
She stepped onto that grass court, and almost nobody inside that stadium realized they were about to witness a moment that would linger in people's minds long after the final point was played. Not the commentators sitting courtside, not the television cameras scanning the crowd, maybe not even the experienced opponent standing across the net, but there was one person who seemed to know: Eala. Somewhere beneath the calm expression, beneath the routine warm-up and quiet confidence, there was a feeling that something different was about to happen. And that is what makes this performance so fascinating when you look back at it now, because the most dangerous players are not always the loudest. They are not the ones demanding attention or feeding off the crowd's energy. Sometimes the most dangerous player is the one who needs none of that. No spotlight, no hype, no grand stage. Just a racket, a tennis ball, and an opportunity. Alex walked onto court 1 in London with that kind of presence. She bounced the ball, took a breath, and then point by point, game by game, she began taking apart a veteran opponent with a level of precision that felt almost unsettling to watch. To understand why this match felt so significant, you cannot start with the scoreline. You have to begin with a question that nobody was asking before the first serve was struck. What does a player look like right before they reach an entirely new level? Because this was not simply a victory. This felt like a transformation unfolding in real time. Every point seemed to reveal a more complete version of Eala, more confident, more composed, more certain of exactly who she is becoming on a professional tennis court. And perhaps the most remarkable part is that Zhang Shuai recognized it before anyone else. Think about who Zhang is. A seasoned veteran with more than a decade on the WTA Tour, a player who has faced elite competition around the world, defeated top 10 opponents, and experienced virtually every situation tennis can throw at someone. Yet on this day, she was the first person to feel that something was different, long before the crowd fully understood what they were watching. Long before television, cameras started focusing on Alex between points. Zhang felt it, and she could not stop it. If you watch closely, especially during the second set, there is a moment when everything changes. A subtle shift in body language, a glance, a hesitation, the exact moment when belief begins slipping away. It is one of the most haunting aspects of elite sports, because sometimes defeat arrives long before the final point, and to understand why that happened, we need to start with Alex's serve. The numbers alone tell an incredible story. Across the entire match, Alex landed 44 first serves. 44 times she stood behind the baseline, tossed the ball into the London sky, and committed completely to the shot. No hesitation, no uncertainty, just confidence, execution, and trust. Out of those 44 first serves, she won 30 points. That is 68%. At first glance, it sounds like just another statistic. But on a grass court, against an experienced player like Zhang Shuai, that number means something much bigger. It means pressure, constant pressure, relentless pressure. Every time Zhang stepped up to return serve, she was forced to make decisions without certainty. She could never fully settle into a rhythm because she never knew which serve was coming next. Was it going wide, down the middle, into the body? Every service game became a guessing game. And over the course of a match, uncertainty becomes exhausting. It chips away at confidence. It forces doubt into places where confidence is supposed to live. But what made Alex's serving performance truly impressive was not the first serve. It was the second serve. Because on grass, the second serve is where weaknesses are exposed. The court is fast. The bounce stays low. A hesitant second serve can immediately hand control of the point to an aggressive returner. Many players struggle with that reality. Eala did the opposite. She turned her second serve into another weapon. Winning 10 of 18 points behind her second serve, she posted an impressive 55% success rate. Think about what that does to an opponent mentally. Usually, a returner feels relief when the first serve misses. Against Alex, there was no relief. The danger remained, even when the second serve came. By the end of the match, she had fired 3 aces and committed only 1 double fault. 1. A single moment of hesitation across an entire match filled with controlled aggression, and that balance is what stood out most. This was not emotional tennis. It was not fueled by adrenaline, it was something colder, something more dependable, precision, preparation, discipline, the kind of confidence that comes from knowing the work has already been done long before match day arrives. But then the story takes an even more interesting turn, because while everyone focuses on what Alex did well, the numbers from Zhang Shuai reveal something even more important. Zhang was not serving badly. In fact, she landed 46 first serves, slightly more than Alex's 44. She hit 2 aces, only 1 double fault. Mechanically, there was very little wrong with her serving performance. She was executing, she was competing, she was giving herself opportunities. Yet somehow, despite all of that, she won only 22 service points during the entire match. Alex won 40 to 22. That is not just a statistical difference. That is the entire story of the match. One player consistently turned service games into opportunities, the other was simply trying to survive them. And the reason for that gap leads us directly to the most impressive part of Alex Eala's performance, her return game. Because returning serve at the highest level is one of the most difficult skills in tennis. It requires anticipation, recognition, timing, decision-making. Everything happens within fractions of a second. You must read pace, read spin, read direction, move your feet, commit to a swing, and execute, all before the ball reaches you. Most professional players are satisfied if they can simply neutralize the serve and begin the rally. Alex was doing something completely different. She was attacking. Reading Zhang's serve early, predicting patterns, positioning herself perfectly, driving returns deep into the court with purpose and conviction. Over and over again, she forced Zhang into defensive positions from the very first shot of the rally. She wasn't reacting to the match. She was designing it, building each point exactly the way she wanted it to unfold. That is not just skill, that is tennis intelligence operating at an elite level. And when you combine that return game with the serving numbers, the final score suddenly makes perfect sense. 6-3, 6-2, not surprising, almost inevitable. But there is one final statistic that tells the entire story: break points. Alex created 12 break point opportunities, 12 chances to put real pressure on a veteran opponent, and she converted 5 of them, 5 out of 12, 42%. That number may not sound dramatic, but at the WTA 500 level on grass, against a player with Zhang Shuai's experience, it is elite. Those are the numbers produced by players who make deep tournament runs. Players who win titles, players who arrive at Grand Slams believing they can beat anyone standing across the net. And that is why this performance matters. It was not just about advancing to the next round. It was not just about beating a respected veteran. It was about witnessing the moment a young player begins crossing the invisible line between potential and reality. The crowd may not have recognized it immediately. The cameras may have needed time to catch up. But by the end of the afternoon, everyone could see it. Alex Eala is no longer simply a promising young talent. She's becoming something much more dangerous. And if this match was any indication, the rest of the draw has every reason to be paying attention. The statistic that should stay with you long after this match is over is not the final score. It is what happened when the pressure finally arrived. Zhang Shuai earned 7 breakpoint opportunities, 7 chances to shift the momentum. 7 moments where she could have changed the direction of the match. 7 opportunities to remind Alex Eala that she was facing a veteran who had spent more than a decade surviving battles exactly like this. Yet she converted only 2 out of 7, 28%. And here is the part that makes Alex's performance so remarkable. Those breaks did not matter, not because they weren't important, but because every single time Zhang managed to find a way through, every time she created a spark of momentum, every time she gave herself a reason to believe she could claw her way back into the match, Alex responded immediately. There was no panic, no frustration, no visible reaction, no desperate attempt to protect the lead. She simply went back to work, point after point, game after game, applying the same pressure, trusting the same patterns, believing in the same game plan that had brought her success from the opening point. And both times she broke right back. That is not a technical skill. That is not something a coach can teach during practice. What Alex showed in those moments was something far more valuable than a powerful serve or a beautiful forehand. She showed composure, the rare ability to stay calm precisely when staying calm becomes most difficult. Because when momentum starts to shift, the natural human instinct is to become cautious, to protect what you have, to play safer, to give yourself extra margin, to avoid making mistakes. Alex did the exact opposite. She became more aggressive, more decisive, more committed to her shots. She trusted herself even more when the situation demanded it, and that trust carried her through every challenge Zhang presented. Then came the stretch that completely changed the match. The moment when statistics stopped being numbers and became something you could actually feel through the television screen. 10 consecutive points, 10 straight points at the highest level of professional tennis, against a veteran who has built her entire career on surviving pressure and finding ways back into matches. For Zhang, it must have felt relentless. Every return game ended the same way. Every service game seemed to slip away. Every rally felt like it was tilting in one direction. And every decision she made appeared to be the wrong one. Go cross-court, lose the point, go down the line, lose the point, attack the net, lose the point, stay back, lose the point. Meanwhile, the player standing across from her looked completely unaffected. Alex wasn't celebrating wildly. She wasn't feeding off emotion. She wasn't showing signs of tension. She simply looked calm, focused, locked in, as if the magnitude of the moment hadn't even entered her mind. It is what a 10-point winning streak feels like to the opponent standing on the other side of the net. It feels suffocating, because a streak like that is not just reflected on the scoreboard. It changes the psychology of the match. It is the moment when doubt starts replacing belief, the moment when confidence quietly leaves the court, the moment when a match begins to break apart, and once it breaks, sometimes it never comes back together. As part of that run, Alex won 4 consecutive games. 4 games where you could physically see the dynamic changing, not because Zhang stopped trying, she never stopped competing, but because the weight of what was happening started to show. Her movement became slightly slower, not from fatigue, from uncertainty. Her shot selection became safer, more conservative, less aggressive. She started choosing survival over attack, and on grass courts, that is a dangerous path to take, because grass punishes hesitation immediately. The surface is too fast. The bounce stays too low. A neutral ball becomes an invitation. A short ball becomes a gift. And Eala was accepting every gift she was offered, every opportunity, every opening, every slight hesitation. She took advantage of all of them. That is what champions do. But the more I think about this match, the more one fact keeps standing out. Zhang Shuai is not an easy opponent. She is not a player who simply folds under pressure. This is someone who has spent years competing against the best players in the world. She has beaten top 10 opponents, reached deep stages of major tournaments, played on the biggest courts in tennis. She understands pressure, she understands tactics, she understands how to survive, and yet she still found herself overwhelmed. She still managed 7 break points, she still landed first serves, she still created opportunities, she still did many things right. And the match still ended 6-3, 6-2. That is the part that should capture everyone's attention, not the score itself, but what the score represents. It represents the growing gap between a talented veteran doing almost everything she can and a young player operating at a completely different level. That gap is Eala right now. The difference between competing hard and making elite tennis look effortless. The difference between surviving a match and controlling it. And perhaps most importantly, the difference between potential and arrival. Because this tournament is only getting tougher from here. The round of 32 is behind her. The road ahead becomes significantly more difficult. The opponents will serve harder, move faster, think quicker, punish mistakes more severely. The crowds will grow larger. The spotlight will become brighter. The pressure will increase with every round. And now the question that has quietly followed Alex throughout this tournament finally demands an answer. What happens when Eala brings this version of herself against the very best players left in the draw? Because if today's performance was any indication, the rest of the field may be facing something much more dangerous than a rising star. They may be watching the emergence of a genuine contender.